after proper consultation with all the stakeholders. And initially in the draft I may mention, that this particular proprietary trades, lending for proprietary trades was prohibited in the draft. And after that, after taking into their comments and suggestions, we have not allowed it with certain prudential norms. There is no change that we are contemplating.
Thank you, sir. Next question from Mr. Ajay Mishra from Doordarshan.
सर धन्यवाद। सर पूरी अर्थव्यवस्था में महंगाई लगातार काबू में है। आगे जाते हुए खासतौर पर जो ग्रामीण क्षेत्र हैं और एमएसएमई सेक्टर है, उसमें जो हम लोग लोन देने जा रहे हैं उसको लेकर के क्या आपने रिव्यू किया है? क्या वो सफिशिएंट है या उसमें और भी थोड़ा सा बेहतर करने की उम्मीद है? क्योंकि आज ही प्रधानमंत्री ने पत्र लिखा है बैंकिंग सेक्टर में बंगाल के लिए खासतौर पर, लेकिन उसमें और भी इम्प्रूवमेंट का उन्होंने संकेत दिया है। सर थैंक यू।
ग्रामीण क्षेत्र और लघु और मध्यम उद्योग क्षेत्र हमारे लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। आज भी बोर्ड में इसके ऊपर में चर्चा हुई। माननीय वित्त मंत्री महोदया ने भी उसके ऊपर में हमारा ध्यान आकर्षित किया और ये हमारे लिए लगातार हमारा एक प्रायोरिटी एरिया रहता है। जैसा कि आपको मालूम है, जो हमारे पास में लेटेस्ट आंकड़े हैं उनके अनुसार 14.5%, लगभग 14.5% की वृद्धि दर दर्ज हुई है बैंक ऋणों में और सभी क्षेत्रों में, चाहे वो कृषि हो, चाहे वो बल्कि एसएमई क्षेत्र में तो 25%, मेरे ख्याल से 28% के लगभग ग्रोथ दर्ज हुई है। तो अच्छी एक ग्रोथ वहाँ पे दर्ज हुई है आगे, और हमने इसके लिए कई सारे कदम उठाए हैं। बजट में भी आपको मालूम है माननीय वित्त मंत्री ने इसके लिए काफ़ी सारे कई कदम इसमें उठाए हैं और हम भी आगे यूनिफाइड लैंडिंग इंटरफेस की चाहे बात करें, चाहे जो कोलेटरल फ्री लोन्स की लिमिट है 10 लाख से बढ़ा करके 20 लाख रुपए का हमारा प्रस्ताव है, वो अभी पब्लिक कंसल्टेशन में है। तो हमारा आगे भी दोनों क्षेत्रों को, सभी क्षेत्रों को, और विशेषकर इन दोनों क्षेत्रों को, ये प्रायोरिटी क्षेत्र में भी आते हैं हमारे, अगर इनमें ऋण बैंक देते हैं तो जो प्रायोरिटी क्षेत्र की जो उनके लिए जो रेगुलेशंस हैं, जो रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं, उनको भी ये मीट करते हैं। धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद सर। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम सुरभि प्रसाद फ्रॉम बिजनेस टुडे।
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir. My question is to both of you. It's regarding the prices of gold and silver that have been shooting up, and imports of silver has also increased, and the prices have also had an impact on the trade deficit and the new series inflation also. So just wanted your thoughts. Is it a cause of concern as of now? And just your thoughts. Thank you.
See, all gold which comes off the market is imported. In this country, the dependence on precious metals is very much from outside only, in the sense we get every ounce of gold which comes into the country is an imported gold and we don't have our own source of exploring and extracting gold. There are steps being taken, but yet not sufficient to meet our demand. Gold has always been a favored investment for households, whether as an asset class or for jewelry. So a high-pitched demand from, let us say, the domestic consumption also sees a seasonal spike during festival season, during Akshaya Tritiya and so on. We are watching it, but I'm not sure it has reached such alarming proportions given the tendency or natural things as it is in India for investing in gold, buying gold, and therefore I think it has not gone in that sense beyond a certain limit. But of course, RBI will also be monitoring it. Other than that, other than typically what's happening in the Indian market, it's also important, and I'm sure you from the media would have noticed, that most countries today, particularly their central banks, are buying gold and silver and storing them. It's a tendency when you talk of Indian consumer market, Indian households. Every central bank did have some, but of late you notice that many of the central banks outside are also buying gold. So international price of gold or silver, which used to be because of China and India being large consumers of gold, largely due to domestic purchase of gold, spiking up and down. Now the spike is largely due to central banks also buying and storing. And we as importers, therefore, for our domestic consumption, which is a usual thing which happens every season, every festival, every household purchase, is affected because of the global increase in gold and silver prices, which are much beyond the usual increases and fluctuations which happen in the gold and silver market. So I'm purposely bringing the element of the central banks outside, domestic consumption within the country, the pattern within the country of gold purchases, and the cause for that unbelievable spike in gold and silver prices, which are largely because of the investments in big numbers by central banks outside the country to store. So my observation is to bring in the central bank is for saying as to why globally it is shooting up.
Let me add that if you look at numbers from April to December, the quantity of gold, I mean, in value terms there was hardly any increase. I think about $1 billion or so against 50 billion. It increased from 49 to $50 billion. So till December, value terms didn't increase despite increase in prices, because whatever was the increase in prices was offset more or less by the decrease in the volumes of imported gold. It's only in January, we are still analyzing those numbers, that there has been a sudden spurt in value as well as in volume. As the finance minister also mentioned, there is a lot of fluctuation, seasonality in that particular demand. So we are not unduly concerned about that, especially because our external sector continues to be very robust and strong. The current account deficit is still very, very manageable as per our projections. It's within or about the 1% of GDP range. The government has now a number of agreements for trade, international trade, that it has signed, so that will help our current account even further going forward. Even on the capital side, it will help, because trade and investments generally go together. Over and above that, number of policies that government has come out on the FDI side, latest being liberalization, opening up 100%, insurance sector, and then the AI summit recently that we had. So many, I'm forgetting the numbers, some hundreds of billions of dollars being committed towards data centers. Earlier we saw the tech giants, Amazon, Google, Amazon. I think the number that we had, they together they had committed was $62 billion. So so now it's 250. Earlier they had done $62.5 billion. So even if part of it comes, and gross FDI has been very robust, even this year, good growth rate, last year also, this year also. So we have sufficient reserves. So external side, is very strong, and including the domestic macro, even the external sector is very strong.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir. Next question from Tarun Sharma from Z Business.
Thank you, ma'am. My question on the budget announcement on high-level committees. So, sir, what should be the terms of references? Will it be included the restructuring of banks, FDI limit, and corporate governance? And was it discussed in today's board meeting also? And what was the discussion in the board meeting which happened today? Thank you.
You asking me or government?
It's
Both. It wasn't discussed in the board meeting, but I mentioned it, Governor mentioned it from his side. The mention also did not have anything to do with the terms of reference that will have to be framed. It was a mention that it's a good step, we need to do it, and only to that extent the mentions happened. There were no discussion, and particularly not on the terms of reference.
I don't have anything to add, but we welcome it, we support it, I mean, from the RBI, and we'll work with the government in whatever ways the government would like us to work, so that the banking system is strong, but continues to be strong and becomes even stronger, so as to be able to meet the needs of the Indian economy.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir. Next question from Shailesh Yadav from ANI.
सर, आज की बैठक में और क्या क्या बातें हुई जो आप हम लोगों को बता सकते हैं? और दूसरा सर, जो रुपी का लेवल है उसको लेकर कोई बात हुई आज की बैठक में, और किसी तरह कोई कंसर्न है रुपी के लेवल को लेकर?
आज जो बैठक में जो भी बात हुई उसका हम प्रेस रिलीज सबके लिए जारी करेंगे, उसमें रहेगा। रुपए के लेवल के ऊपर में कोई बात आज नहीं हुई।
थैंक यू सर। Next question from Ms. Meghna Mittal from Money Control.
Hi, Meghna Mittal from Money Control. Ma'am, the recent developments that are happening, we are seeing in the US, have they nullified all our efforts that went into this finalizing of the trade deal with US? And it has brought back a lot of uncertainty that we were hoping to do away with on the global level. So is that uncertainty a worry again now?
Uncertainties have continued to be a worry always, and I wish whenever the agreement gets done, and I don't see that being the only reason to abate any uncertainty. Uncertainties can come and go, so that's all right. We are on a very clear path of wanting to have trade deals done. We have done it with the EFTA countries, we have done it with Australia, we have done it with New Zealand, with UAE, with Qatar, with Oman, and also with the United Kingdom, now with the EU. So therefore our attempt to have a trade agreement will go on with countries, and therefore because we want Indian economy to have the advantage of trading globally and being able to reach global markets. So that will go on.
Thank you, madam. Next question from Jyotsna Singh from Financial Times.
Okay.
We'll move on from Prasanta Sahu from Financial Express.
To the Minister and Governor, both Finance Ministry and the Reserve Bank of India were working on National Financial Information Registry for some time back. We heard about that. So what is the status on that? Is that bill coming or it is being dropped?
No, the bill is, we have had multiple rounds of discussion with the government and with all the stakeholders, and most of the contours and the framework of the NFIR have been finalized. We are giving final touches in RBI. After having done that, we will send our proposals, our comments, our suggestions to the government, and the government will take it forward. I don't think it has been shelved.
Thank you, sir. Next question from Gopi Shah from IANS.
This question is for ma'am. Ma'am, is there any specific plan to reduce capital outflow?
Thank you, ma'am. Next question from Anchal Magazine from Indian Express.
My question is for sir. India has reduced investment in US securities by over 18% in 2025. So is this calibrated reduction and an increase in gold holdings a conscious strategic buffer against the uncertainty in the US?
There is no conscious call to reduce our holdings in the US securities. I think what you are referring to is the increase in gold holdings because of changes in valuations. So most of these changes that you are saying is because the valuations of gold have changed, or that of even other countries have changed as a result of the change in the exchange rate between US dollar. US dollar has, as you are aware, it's weakened. So most of the changes that you have seen are because of changes in valuation.
Thank you, sir. Next question from Vikas Dhoot from Business Standard.
Hi, ma'am. Hi, sir. Just a quick thing on this. We're seeing an improvement in credit growth from banks across sectors in recent months. But there is a challenge banks are facing on, keeping up on the deposit side. The CD ratios are at almost record highs for several lenders. So do you see whether any discussions on this, especially ma'am had earlier said that, banks must focus on their core banking operations, and, RBI has sort of announced proposed curbs on, third-party product selling by banks, so that, the focus of core banking remains. So were there any measures discussed on how do we help banks mobilize more deposits, including maybe rationalization of the small savings rates?
Deposit growth as credit has, both of them go together. Mostly credit growth rates and deposit growth rates, they go together. They are very highly correlated. Every credit, rupee of credit creates, a rupee of deposit. But there are business cycles, right? There are leakages, as a result of which the growth rates for short periods of time of the two, deposits and credit, can change and can be dissimilar. So it's a natural thing. Deposit rates have gone up now because credit rates had gone up, credit growth rates had gone up. Deposit rates have also now, gone up. They are about 12.5%. They had gone down to single digits. Moreover, other than deposits, there are other means of borrowings that the banks rely on. The banks will be in full position to meet whatever are the credit needs. There was a question on capital adequacy, so they are, they have sufficient capital to raise more funds, and so they are very well positioned to be able to meet the needs, credit needs of our economy.
Thank you, sir. Next question from Siddhartha from Times of India.
My question is to both the Finance Minister and the RBI Governor. RBI has come out with regulations on new norms on mis-selling. Would RBI also want the systemic issue of higher commission in certain products to be addressed? And ma'am, has there been some discussion around the incentive structure for certain financial products so that the instances of mis-selling come down?
See, on the mis-selling, I've been speaking consistently. Banks should concentrate on their core business. I'm repeating this, and I've also said this several times to the banks themselves. From the customer side, I'm giving you a long wound answer, purposely because you have to contextualize this. From the consumer's point of view, the customer point of view, the bank deposit holder point of view, the money lending which happens with the customer, the borrower's point of view. You need banks to focus on understanding their customer, their strengths, their weakness, the business cycle, if they are personal account holders, their needs, their requirements, and so on. One of the good and noble spirit of financial inclusion, particularly in a country like ours, where banks have spread all over. It's also because of, you can say, at one point in time when nationalization happened, banks were meant to go deep into the country so that they can reach all customers. Now from then the emphasis has been to know your customer, reach out to them, mobilize deposit and lend. Make your money out of what you've lent, no problem. That's core banking. Gradually, with the economy and the types of businesses growing, banks have spread themselves to do many other things, which is all right. I'm not against that. But they have reached a point, not now, a couple of years ago, they had reached a point where they did not have that comfort of the CASA money. And as a result, with the government also tightening on professional handling of the banks, performance, also making sure that the banks understand what the credit requirements are and so on, they had to keep lending, and inclusive of the aberrations which happened without checking on the security, you lent and whatever, they went on the other side far too soon. You didn't mobilize CASA as much as you needed or as much as there is availability, but you also went on lending. Of course, lending on phone calls, lending without asset backing and so on, that you reached a stage where you had no longer the comfort of the CASA, the cheap money which you have in your account to lend. And at a time when the government was also trying to restore banks to do their jobs professionally. So banks said, government said, I clearly remember telling every one of the banks which came to me, I'm not saying all banks came to me, but every one of the banks which came to me, that I shall not give the money for their requirements. Please reinfuse or put more money into the banks. I said, I will not do that. You become a better bank that you can go to the market and raise that money. And all this simultaneously happening resulted in a situation where banks had to tie up their lace and start running the race, but kept the CASA as not top priority. So in the last few years I've been saying banks should go out there, collect deposits, meet with people, not just for improving your CASA accounts, but that is where the customer side or the deposit holder side grievance that, one, their credit rating is not being understood by the banks. They need an outside agency to come and assess them. And when an outside agency comes, they really don't know who is who in that village. They would say, what's a banking footprint? Take that. What is his business? Take that. Look at the economy in general. Is this business doing well? Give them a credit rating on that basis, which the individual customer felt that he's being treated very, very indifferently, and not truly to his credit requirement or credit worthiness. As a result, total impersonal approach to banking set in. Today what is happening is the banks have understood that government is not giving capital, but then they have improved their systems, they are coming and doing well. Equally, you had the story of mis-selling happening. My pet peeve has always been that you do your core banking business, you're spending more time on selling insurance, where it is not required perhaps. And conveniently it fell between two stools. The insurance regulator felt it's not his business because there are banks which are doing it, banks are not under him. RBI, pardon me, sitting in RBI I'm saying this, RBI probably felt it's insurance business they are doing, so I will not come into this picture. And they were right probably. I was right probably, but in between was caught up our dear customer, the individual deposit holder, the citizen of this country, who kept saying, why am I being asked to take an insurance when I'm giving my property, my piece of land, and taking a home loan? He wants a loan for which the property is already there. So what is he being asked to de-risk? Why should he cover with him another insurance there? He already has a life insurance, he has a health insurance, he has something else, fire insurance. So as an individual customer, you had this person worrying about one more insurance that he has to take, despite having given a piece of land for building a house, for which he is taking a loan, EMI and all that. His salary is being given for that. So I've narrated the entire background only to underline the point that I'm glad that the RBI is coming up with guidance on why mis-selling is not going to be, entertained. And I think the message should go to the banks that you cannot afford to mis-sell. And this word mis-sell, instead of offending anybody, seems to be one more word in the lexicon. Mis-sell is an offense, if you ask me. Don't ask me under which section of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. But it is mis-selling, right? Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry?
The issue of discussion among regulators on the incentive structure, has there been some discussion around that?
There's not been one such a discussion, and in any case, we'll have a meeting in the FSTC. We'll see how best we can take this narrative forward.
Thank you, ma'am. With your kind permission, we can have 3 more questions.
Look at the time. The others are waiting for lunch. So see.
Just very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, Ms. Shweta Roy, very quickly from the banker.
Hello ma'am, my question is to you. The government has been encouraging a lot of private companies to invest more in India's growth story. But if you look at the data, private capex data has been falling to 11.2% of the GDP. I want to understand here what are the biggest challenges that government is facing right now, and what's stopping the private companies to invest more? Thank you.
Second question to the industry. First question is to the government that everybody should participate in India's growth story.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question from Subhash Narayan from Mint.
Ma'am, was there any discussion on bank consolidation, that roadmap that has been decided that further big banks would be created in the country?
I'm not sure or familiar with any roadmap that you're referring to. There isn't one, if I know. One. Second, no, it wasn't discussed. 3, bank and consolidation was not a subject here, nor was a subject before the budget. But the committee which is now being appointed, once the terms of reference are given, they will look into every aspect of how to strengthen Indian banking.
Thank you, ma'am. One last question from Deepak Mondal from the New Indian Express.
Ma'am, nowadays a number is highlighted by media a lot, that is net FDI rate. Net FDI is continuously showing negative growth. So is it a concern, for the government or the Reserve Bank of India?
More than a concern, I think I want to, and I've been saying this, not that I'm saying this now. You think global capital funds move based on your macroeconomic performance, on your government stability, policy stability, taxation stability, predictability for businesses, and a law-abiding economy. You then expect the flow of the funds to move towards such economies. Now, the economic survey has also very clearly pointed out and raised this very important question, which comes from a curious mind, as I would say. All the fundamentals are fine. The indicators are very clearly indicating that next couple of years we will be going at that kind of a level. Stable government, taxation policy, everyone says that there's been absolute certainty. So you would expect the funds to flow towards such economies like India, on the top to India. But it doesn't come. It doesn't flow in that sense. So, in fact, I did mention this even when I met with the US-India Strategic Policy Forum, USISPF. So if this is the common principle through which the fund flows should happen, and it doesn't happen to India, I wonder what are the other reasons which are holding them back. Certainly they are not economic or commercial reasons. They are not reasons based on the economy and its strength. They are something else. They're probably strategic. They're probably global politics. We don't know. So the theory, as per theory, if the funds have to flow to India, we have every reason for the fund to be attracted towards India. But if it doesn't flow, all of us will have to see what is holding it back.
Thank you, madam.
It's an important point, when you mentioned correctly that it is net FDI. Gross FDI is increasing. Last year it increased by about 14-15%. Even this year gross FDI has increased, and the growth rate is also high. I do not have the numbers. It's because of repatriations of those people who had done earlier FDI that it's gone out, that the net has decreased. And similarly, our people, because now they are feeling stronger, emboldened, the various measures taken domestically to strengthen our economy, they are going and investing more so abroad. So because of that, the net FDI is not as high as we would like it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. With this, we come to the close of this press meet. I'd like to sincerely thank Honorable Finance Minister, Honorable Minister of State for Finance, Governor Reserve Bank of India, Deputy Governors of RBI, RD New Delhi, officials from PIP, and members of the media for their participation. I wish you all a good day ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you.